You're frozen completely again.
Yeah. Ready?
Yeah, I think so. Okay, actually, 1 second. Okay, I'm gonna be right back.
Okay.
Got my SA shirt on now. Okay, ow, there we go. Yeah, it's just a better promotional value, so. Hi, my name's Jenna Can. I'm living in Kamloops, British Columbia, Canada. I'm an ESL teacher, currently studying my master's, but previously I was working as an ESL teacher in South Korea, which is where I met the SA Club. I don't know, would you want my whole life backstory? I've been learning salsa and bachata for approximately 2.5 years, I'd say, with no intention of stopping. I started learning salsa first and had no idea what bachata even was, but now I love them both very much. I had done belly dancing previously, which helped with some aspects of the dances, especially when you have to do like isolation and waves. But I'd never done any partner dancing, so that part was completely new. All right, I like this story actually. So I was in South Korea and I had a really bad experience with a belly dance club in Korea, and I was dead set against doing any more dancing while I was living there. And then a friend of mine kept pestering me saying, oh, come to this salsa dance club with me. And I really did not want to go. And then about 4 hours before the class started, I called the instructor and lied, saying I had just seen the flyer, even though I'd known about the class for about 2 weeks, and asked if it was too late to sign up and go to the class that night. And he said, yeah, sure, come on over. So I went and everyone was so nice and friendly and it was so much fun. And I was hooked instantly. I think you know. So his name was Noble, aka you. And yeah, he was very nice and very welcoming, and we ended up becoming very good friends throughout my time at SA. And he and his club made me feel very welcome, and I was able to learn a new dance and realize that there were some very nice dance clubs in Korea as well. Okay, I thought you were gonna say like 30 or something outrageous. No. My favorite one alternates. I think I like salsa better, I think, just because it suits my personality a bit more. Bachata is very sensual. I'm not always super comfortable with it. It took a long time to get used to bachata. I do really like it now. I can definitely teach bachata better than I can teach salsa, because I can actually dance the male part of bachata. But salsa, that's kind of how I got started with all of it, and so it's got a very special place. My least favorite is not one that you mentioned. Kizomba is very hard, but I like the challenge of it. My least favorite Latin dance is merengue. I can't stand merengue. It's very tiring. I think I've had like one lesson in it, and it's so goofy. Merengue's fun to dance if you're drunk, but otherwise it's not for me. I don't think so, because there's this one club in Itaewon that I would go to all the time, and the owner, every time a merengue song came on, would dance with me. So I learned quite a bit of merengue just through dancing it. I'm not a big fan of the merengue music. It's very, I don't know, it's very fast. It's just, I don't know, something about it just, it's not my favorite. Not that I like dislike any dancing. I love dancing in general. But if I had to pick a least favorite, it would be merengue. I'm worse at kizomba than I am at merengue. Well, I love the challenge that is kizomba. I really like the way kizomba moves and how it looks. So one day I'd like to get better at that one. Yeah, mainly Hongdae and Gangnam, right? It depends on what you're looking for, I think, because they've got very different vibes. For me personally, I did prefer dancing in Hongdae because that's where everyone I knew was dancing. Hongdae has a lot more, it's a lot more mellow. I think the people are there to dance more for fun. The people in Gangnam take it a little bit more seriously. So you'll find a lot of really, really good dancers in Gangnam. Like, you'll find good dancers in both places. I feel that Hongdae is a little bit more friendly. It doesn't take itself as seriously. But of course, to get a wide range of experience, go dance in both places. In Korea, I have gone to Busan twice, I believe. Yeah, I went to Busan twice for dancing. Busan has a festival every year. So that one was fun. I haven't gone to any clubs, but I went to their dance festival. So, positives of dancing in general and with the club. Something I really liked about dancing, particularly in Korea, in a place where I can't speak the language, was it was a great way to communicate with people. I didn't have to be able to speak Korean to make a connection with people because dance was its own language because you can read the signals that people are doing. So there were people that I got really close with through dance, but like I can barely have a conversation with. So it was really cool to get to know people that way because all they have to do is like hold out their hand and you know what they want. They want you to go dance. Another positive is that I think it made me feel a lot more confident about myself. I do have a problem with like making direct eye contact with people. And with dance, I kind of forced myself to get over that a little bit more. Still not perfect, still work in progress. But dancing definitely helped me confront some personal fears and insecurities. So that's something I'll always be grateful for salsa dance, belly dance, just dancing in general. It's really helped me become more comfortable with myself. Okay, so I have a specific positive of something that happened to me, but it sounds like braggy and okay, so one of the biggest positives for me was the last routine I ever did with my bachata performance team in Seoul. My teachers were Noble Sam and Trisha Sam, and they're amazing teachers. I love them and miss them so much. And shut up. I was really, really flattered when Trisha put me in the front for what is called shine, so it's when you dance without your partner. And I was so flattered that Trisha thought I was good enough to be at the front and center of the group, and I've always held on to that because I felt really justified in my skills, and it was a very, very positive experience with the club for me. And it was so great that Trisha, a dancer that I really, really admire, would put me in that position. That meant so much to me. Well, because my camera's way up here and then you're down here, so I don't know where to look. My camera or the Skype camera? It can be intimidating sometimes. There are people that can be really, really good that you can feel a little bit nervous to dance with, or sometimes you'll ask someone to dance and they'll just say no and you don't know why they're saying no. Also, in my personal experience, there have been times where during a performance I have messed up very, very badly, and it can be very disheartening, but luckily the SA club in Hongdae is so supportive and it's all for fun, and no one's going to really care if you mess up. They're not going to hold it against you, so it helps you get over your mistakes. I definitely remember the times when I messed up, but I don't dwell on them as much as I did at the time, because I kind of realized as a whole over the time I was dancing there, they're kind of insignificant. So I really like doing shines. I think they're a lot of fun. They're very expressive. And there was this one performance we did with it, and I had nailed the move like dozens of times in rehearsals. But just so happened that on the day we were performing it, I literally fell over backwards into one of the other dancers at the end of the song, and I was so distraught and upset with myself. Like to the point where I was crying afterwards because I was just so ashamed and like, why the one time I had to actually perform it, did I mess this up? So that was probably the most negative experience I've ever had with the club. I got over it. One good thing that came out of that though is someone snapped a picture right after I had fallen over and gotten back up, and I was trying to laugh it off. And the picture came out really, really beautiful and happy, even though I was like embarrassed at the time. And so I look at that picture and remember that whole experience, and it kind of reminds me to just laugh it off and that's not a big deal. At the time it was very upsetting, but now I don't really care that much. Cause I had done it right. I had done it right so many times. I feel like when I mess up in a performance, it shows that like I'm not a good dancer, and I really want to be. I don't want to be a professional dancer, but like I want people to see me and be like, oh, she's good. Also, standing out as a good dancer in Korea was a big thing for me because I stood out in Korea in a lot of negative ways because I got mistaken as like a prostitute all the time because of the blonde hair and pale skin. And I'm also larger naturally because I'm not Asian. And so I wanted one thing about how I stood out in Korea to be positive and not negative. And so I wanted to stand out positively as a good dancer. So when I made mistakes, it had a big impact on how I viewed myself and how I thought others viewed me. Which I know wasn't true always, but I did get a lot of really like rude comments unintentionally from even people in the club. Like I lost a lot of weight from dancing, and I had this one guy in the club come up to me and be like, oh, you used to be so fat, what happened? Like, thanks. That happens a lot in Korea when they're like complimenting on your like weight and figure. They say a lot of really insulting things that in Korean culture is not insulting, but in the West is like, no. Yeah, I don't hold it against them. On the dance floor, so most of the time you can tell when it's like an accident and it's not maliciously intended. I don't think I ever got mad that someone stepped on me. Obviously I've got larger boobs, so like guys would accidentally hit them sometimes. And they'd be like horrified, and I would just be like, no, it's okay, it happens. No, so the only thing I can remember is one time I had a really negative experience at, which bar was it? And this guy it was like a salsa song, but he was like grinding all up on me, and obviously like there was too much touching. And I tried to tell him like to back off a little bit and not be so touchy-feely. But he didn't listen to me, and so I ended up just like walking out halfway through the song because I was so uncomfortable. But I think that was the only experience I can remember like being really, really uncomfortable with someone because I knew that they were taking it too far. But most of the time when people accidentally step on you or like touch you, it's usually like innocent and an accident, and so I don't get upset. There's bad eggs everywhere. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so-
the one that stands out the most. I've definitely had dances that made me like a little uncomfortable, but that was the only one that I actually like full out walked away from because I was just like, no. Yeah, well, I tried to like tell him like to back off, and I tried pushing him away, and he just wasn't taking the hint. So I tried to finish it, and I tried to be polite, saying like I needed a little bit more space, and he just was completely ignoring me and my boundaries, and so I was like, okay, peace. What's funny is later on, the friend I was there with danced with him. She was also super uncomfortable because he was doing the same thing to her. And she also was telling him to back off. Especially if it's a stranger, keep in mind that not everyone's going to be as comfortable with like super close contact. If you know the person better, then you can kind of play around with it more. But you got to be aware of people's boundaries even when dancing a partner dance, even when dancing a dance where you are naturally a bit closer. There's still a line that you can cross.
Right.
Oh, this is the worst interview ever. I'm sure there's like dozens. One thing that I used to do that was really fun is I have a really good friend in the club who's still over there named Carmen. And her and I would take turns dancing the guy part, and we had like male alter egos. So my name's Jenna, but when I was the guy, I would be Jack. And she would be Carl if she was the guy. And it was a lot of fun and just being really goofy on the dance floor. Oh, we also did this, one of my favorite things that Carmen and I liked to do to piss off our instructor. So his name is Noble, and we gave him kind of a Spanish name because we figured, hey, he teaches Latin dance, he needs a Spanish name. So there's this one song that would always come on that goes, say my name, and we would always shout, Pablo el Noble! And it annoyed him to no end, and we did this for years.
I'm gonna edit that out.
I know, I just really wanted to tell that story. Oh, that is one of my fondest memories. It's just Carmen and I yelling, Pablo el Noble! Like across the floor. And you just glaring, like death glares at us every single time.
It's been a while since I've seen you, alright?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna forgive you for this, alright?
You'd forgive me anyways. I've done so much worse to you.
Yeah, like, being shocked when you learned that I can read.
Not that you could read, that you enjoyed reading.
I have a book in my hand right now.
Well, you're not reading it right now.
No. I was,
But anyways, again, it came out way worse than it meant to that one time. So I learned the dancing because it was a fun activity and it was a good way to meet people. In a foreign country, Korea or otherwise, it's really, really important to find a group of people that you have similar interests with, because it will help you feel more at home in the country and you'll have a much better time there. So I would say there are benefits to learning salsa. If you're going to Korea, if you're a foreigner in Korea right now, there are benefits to learning it there as opposed to another place where everyone speaks English, because you're going to be able to find a more unique connection with people, I think. Also, it'll make you feel like less of an outsider. You may not be able to speak Korean or English with, and you may not even be able to speak with the people you're dancing with, but through dancing, you're going to create a bond. I actually have a very strong opinion on this one. The SA prices, so the SA club in particular, the prices are excellent. They're phenomenal. And I have heard this from so many foreigners because we are on a budget. And because teaching ESL, it's a livable wage, but it doesn't leave a lot of room for a lot of extra stuff. And the prices at SA are great, and there's a lot of like deals. Like if you take these 2 classes, then you can get a discount, or if you sign up early, you can get a discount. The prices are very, very reasonable and very affordable. I did it for like 2 years straight and never really was a problem. So I haven't done any dance classes in Canada yet, so I can't really compare the two. Sorry. Please don't keep that in there. So I was running my own dance classes here, and I tried to keep it on the lower side as well, because I knew that from experience with SA, that the club could thrive and do really well not charging exorbitant amounts. So I have seen prices kind of similar to Korea, but I think in general Korea is a little bit cheaper when it comes to dance classes. I haven't had the chance to join any here yet because the city I'm living in doesn't really offer any, but from ads I've seen online for the surrounding areas, depending on the club, it's pretty similar, a little bit more than Korea though. So SA is doing a good job, and SA is generally a lot cheaper, I think, than a lot of the other dance clubs in Seoul. Even within Seoul, yeah. I know that one of the dance clubs in Gangnam, another like foreign-based dance club, charges a lot more than SA. I don't like being on camera. It's very nerve-wracking. have. So I went to Indonesia at some point and I hunted down a couple of bars. There's a really fun one in Bali called Balio and Company. And they do dancing several nights of the week and it's really fun. It's a little bit smaller. Of course I wasn't as comfortable there as I was in Korea because I knew the people in Korea more. But it was a lot of fun. Also, I haven't done any classes here in Canada, but I did go a couple months ago to an international salsa festival in Vancouver. And that was really, really fun. And it did kind of remind me of the Korea Salsa Bachata Congress. It had a very similar vibe, which was really nice. It was very international. There were people from all over the place. Some things kind of stand out, but again, Seoul is so big that it really depends on which club you're at. Because I feel like every club in Seoul, like every salsa club in Seoul has its own unique salsa culture, quite honestly. There's such a different vibe at all the different clubs in Seoul. So like in Hongdae, it's very chill, it's very fun, which is kind of what the club in Bali was like. But Gangnam, again, they take everything a little bit more seriously. And here, the only club I've been to here was also very like fun and easygoing. I think some of the clubs in Korea take salsa a lot more seriously than other countries where they just do it for the fun of it. So my dancing in other countries is a little bit limited because I was only in Bali for like 10 days. I haven't danced a lot in Canada thanks to the global pandemic. I think it's more or less kind of similar. So like within the salsa community, you have your own like dance communities. So people that know each other from particular clubs or dance bars or whatever. So I think it is kind of similar from the limited experience that I have with it. I'm not the best one to answer that question. I haven't had a lot of opportunity to dance outside of Korea as of yet.
Hope you get a lot more though in the future.
Praying. There's a town 2 hours away from me that has at least 2 like fairly good dance clubs or salsa bars, like actual salsa bars, because I met some of those people from that city at the international dance conference in Vancouver. So I know that they can dance. And I want to go there. I'm not angry. I want to go. I want to go. I'm in withdrawal. I did learn your Shine though, the one that you posted on YouTube, like the last one. It was fun. Yeah, it's a Karma Sutra. Love that song. I left a comment on your video. Yeah, it was pretty easy, but it was fun.
Yeah.
You could have broken that down to me in like 5 minutes.
Okay, that's good.
And you've met me, I can be very serious at times. The salsa scene in Canada, thanks to the pandemic, has completely shut down. With my teacher's encouragement and blessing, I had started like an SA Canada branch in Prince Rupert, my hometown, which had taken off. We had a very large number of people for such a small town. We were doing 3 classes a week from the get-go, and we were gonna add 2 more. And then the pandemic shut it down, and it's been several months and we're still nowhere near opening up again because we're still supposed to be quarantined at our home unless absolutely necessary. So, in the time that I've been back in Canada, there was only a couple months where I could have done salsa dancing, and now I'm just waiting for things to open up again. The Prince Rupert Salsa Club has unfortunately been disbanded because I was the only one within 800 kilometers that could dance salsa and bachata. And I'm not even exaggerating. Once the pandemic is over, I plan to find a place where I can take classes. I'm not comfortable teaching classes at this moment for a couple of reasons. One of them is that I dance salsa on 2, which is the more popular style in Korea. And here in Canada, it's not done a lot unless you're in like Montreal or the East Coast. Then there's actually a very big school called Mambo Land that I've taken some classes from their instructors. They're great. But the style of salsa that I'm most comfortable with and I'm most familiar with isn't super popular here, so I don't think there'd be a lot of market for it if I were to try and teach it. And I'm not good enough at salsa on one to feel confident teaching that one, unless I had a male partner to help me, because I cannot lead the male part. Bachata I could do, but overall I'm kind of rusty because I don't have dance classes here. So I think unless I started dancing regularly again with a partner or at a club, I don't think it would be right for me to teach classes, because I don't think the students would be getting as much benefit out of it. I want to dance. I want to go to the clubs and dance and get my skills back, because I can tell that I'm losing them, and it makes me very, very upset that I spent pretty much all of my spare time in Korea dancing, and I am now losing the ability to dance. I practice at home pretty much every day, at least a little bit, but there's only so much you can do by yourself. Yeah, I really, really miss dancing though, and as soon as the pandemic's over and I can start up again, I will. But again, this town that I'm in still doesn't even really have any dance. There's, like I said, the next town 2 hours over, they have some dancing, but again, I would have to figure out how to do that, like how to get there, who would take care of my dog, would I even have the time off work to go, would I have the money to go. So in an ideal world, I would do that though. Well, on Sundays we did. So on Sundays I would teach a free beginner class. So anyone in the town who wanted to come and just learn the basics. So we cycled through like 4 different moves. Like we would do one week, one another week, and then would repeat them. And they were moves that anybody could learn right from the get-go. And so this was done at a restaurant in town, and like the arrangement we had was I would be able to teach the classes for free, and on the plus side for the restaurant, they would have people coming in that wanted to eat and drink. And so it brought them more business on a slow night. And so what we would do is we would have our lesson, and then people would usually order some like appies and drinks, and we would dance for a couple hours and just socialize. My Tuesday and Thursday classes though, those were strictly classes, and then people would go home. There's not as much of a drinking social culture on weeknights as there is in Korea. In Korea, it would be like a Tuesday night and people are out drinking soju and eating fried chicken. Whereas here, they want to go home and sleep because they have work the next day. Yeah, they're boring. I very much miss that culture in Korea where it was like, it's a Tuesday, who cares? Let's go to the bar. And I was just like, yeah, great, this is fun. I miss a lot of the culture. I miss the after party culture for sure. So
You're telling me. Oh, what's that?
I'm trying to loosen up, you jerk.
Okay.
You're like, you're so serious, and I'm trying to loosen up. Nothing I do is right. Your eyes are rolling everywhere. So critical.
Okay.
So what you could do to make it better? So that's where I wish I was still there, because I have said this multiple times, and this is a big thing with the foreigners. So it is a very foreigner-friendly club, but a lot of things get lost in translation sometimes. A lot of things are posted in the like Korean section or talked about in the Korean chat room that are not talked about in the English chat room, and so the English speakers or the foreigners sometimes miss some of the things that are going on. So I would just say the best thing that SA could improve on if they want to keep up with their reputation of being like a very foreigner-friendly club is to like be careful in including the foreigners in what's going on in the club. Yeah, and I have mentioned that previously to you. And I know it's hard. You have so much on your plate. You do so much, and like I'm not criticizing you. I wish I was still there to help out, because I loved doing that. I loved it when you like asked me like, hey, could you let the people know about this? I loved fielding questions. I loved when we had a new person coming into the club, going down early before my classes and like being there to introduce them. I loved my role in SA. I hate that I don't have it anymore. It was a huge part of my life. I don't want to teach at a Hagwon anymore though. I hate Hagwons. Yeah, well, I want to do like the 2-month exchanges, so we'll see what happens. So I am a huge huge supporter of SA. I love it so much. It made my time in Korea so much better. It's actually the reason I stayed longer in Korea. I was gonna go home after a year, and I ended up staying in Korea for about 2.5 years because I loved the club and the community just so much. SA is very, very welcoming to foreigners, and that was one of my jobs when I was with SA, is I was kind of like the foreigner liaison or representative, and I was constantly posting SA on foreigner pages in Korea to try to get more people to come because I knew what a great resource it was for them. And a lot of the people, a lot of the foreigners in SA now were because they had seen the posts that I had put on the expat pages. So I would like 200% recommend SA, not only just for dancing, but just because it's a great way to meet people and it's very accepting of foreigners. And the teachers make sure to take care of you and include you. And if you're having troubles with the Korean, the main teacher, Noble, speaks perfect English, and so he'll help you if you have any questions. There's lots of other foreigners, and a lot of the Korean people there can also speak some English. So it's absolutely wonderful. I would 120, I think I already said 200. I would 200% recommend the club. So.
What? Let's do that again.
Oh dear.